everybody. Welcome to another episode of Little Red Toolbox. We've come on to a little find that it's hard to find a truck that you can pull parts off of and not cost you anything. What we've got here is an F-150 that is being used as salvage. After making some phone calls and talking to about 3 or 4 people, we were able to come out and get permission to scavenge parts off of this 1995 or 1996 F-150. So it's got a good gauge cluster and a bezel, which is the main thing we're looking for. Those are hard to find. But we've got some nice aluminum Sonic rims, as you notice, that we're going to put on the Bat truck, which is over here. We'll show you that in a minute. This is the one we put the headlights on that we shot a while back. So we're going to take off these 4 rims. The gas tanks are already out because this truck was used as a trainer for EMT. I believe the rims are all straight. They don't have any dings or anything on them. They're just flat. The glass has been broken, but that's okay. It's been in the elements, but we can get what we need that isn't weather affected. Again, the bezel is in pristine condition. The gauge cluster has a tack, which is really real sought after, and there'll be probably some little pieces in there that we could get as well. These trim panels here on the dash are always good to get. The radio is probably good because the display on ours is not readable. Removing the radiator, we're going to pull this away so we can get to this shroud. So that's what we're going to do now. So we can either cut this, Jamie, since it's of no consequence, and we should be able to lift it straight out. So I really want this aluminum trim. It's in good condition, so we got one off the front. We can't get to the one off the rear. And one of the jewels of the Little Red Toolbox is an impact driver. I use this to split engine cases on motorcycles and putting it back together where they really have to have a nice good seal without stripping the head off. So what this does, it does like an impact arbor does, and you set it in there and you hit it with a hammer, and that force, you got to set it in the direction that you're going. So turn it to the left, so lefty-loosey, is a strike, and it loosens the screw just enough so that you can get it off. Here you go. Great tool to have. I've had it for many years, and that impact is enough to shake the threads into moving. Yes. Well, there you go. We have 4 nice aluminum rims that are hard to find. Once they get polished up, they'll be really nice. I like to see them on the Bat truck because it goes with the whole Batman's turbine type of power plant for the Batmobile. And if not, we'll put them on one of the other F-150s that we have in our corral. So it wasn't quite the NASCAR pit stop, but we did pretty well. We're leaving the salvage truck in better condition than what we found it because it's got 3 tires that are holding air as opposed to only 1 that was holding air when we came over here to swap it out.
Or you can open a little side window there, get you some more air in.
What year is this?
I think it's a 95. Because it has a map air sensor like Jamie's truck, it's got a different little sensor at the air intake. It's either 95 or 96, but we can't open the door to check the
insurance and that.
Oh shit.
I'll be right back. You just stay right here. I go get my insurance. Torques for this, and then so we're about to remove the bezel, which is in great condition. All the trucks that we have acquired, besides the 2 that we have for ourselves, need bezels. So we're getting this.
15.
The secret to getting the bezel off. People do not know that they're hidden torque screws. Jamie, you said there were 15s?
20s.
20s. The 220 torques that hold the bezel into place, but before you can get to it, you have to remove the little trim pieces that go on here. And most people will try to pry it off because it does pop off at a certain point. But once you break Jamie went and got them right here. There are 2 of them, 1 on each side, and well, actually, this is the one with the point of the curve going up on each side. Once these are removed, and there's little slots underneath, right where the clamps are, and once those are out, then you can get to the torque screws, and that's the mistake people make. Once those holes for the torque screws are broken, it'll always rattle. You'll never get, you just ruined it. So that's that. And to take the headlight knob off, you take the same screwdriver and you push down on a little tab, a spring tab, and pull it toward yourself, and it'll reduce the friction on the post and allow you to slide it off. And when you go to put it back on, of course, push it back in and it'll lock in place. So now that that's off, we got to drop the steering a little bit so it'll clear. I believe we have to take off the fuel electrics because it'll only come so far. If you pull too much, again, it may be prone to breakage. So down here, I think there's a Torx down here. Yep, there's one down here. So there's a panel I call it the fuse panel, but whatever color the interior is, it's got also 220 Torx. So once those are removed, I'll show you where they go once I lift it out. We have a little bit of problem. You can probably tell when Sophia panned on the left side of the truck, this door has been smashed, and now it's pinned the dash to the door, and it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to remove. I got one side of it off, and I don't want to break the. That's where we want to be real careful, because if it's pinched in here, then we're hey, Pimp Daddy, where your bitches at? Yeah, he's always said he's a man of many faces and personalities. All right.
Let's see this one come loose here, though. That'll come out.
Okay. So here it is. This is the trim panel that goes to the bottom of the steering column. I usually drop the column a little bit so it's easier to not break this. Yeah. Who's your tailor, man? I'll tell you. Whoever it is, you're paying too much. Let's see. This yellow wire, it's not charged anymore, but you probably know that the yellow wires that come into these older vehicles was this is the airbag signal. So you got to be careful with that when you're working with it. Of course, there's no battery in it anymore. All right, let's see what we got. So it's away. All right, let's see if we.
$5.
This is where we get in trouble. Once you break the fuel attachment, you have to either JB weld it or run screws through the face of it. And you really don't want to do that if you can prevent it. So it's free here. The only thing that's keeping it on is the front and rear fuel tank selector. Otherwise, we'd be done and we'd be going for the gauge pack. What we did, Jamie got the key out of the bat truck. It worked in here. We were able to rock the ignition to the start position and bring the shifter. It unlocks the column shifter, and we bring it into first gear, and now it just slides over. So this is not in the way. This arm is not in the way of it clearing. All right, what was that? How do you like that? In excellent condition. It's usually cracked from here to here. This is usually busted away. Well, it does have a little bit of a bust because we only remove one screw. So that means the other one is still in here. But we have the piece that goes in that little spot right there that you can see a hole through. The fuel switch with the mounting lugs. We took one off. It was a Phillips. It goes just like that. But the attaching piece stayed on the back of the fuel switch. And that's what I was talking about earlier. If you try to get it off while the screws are in there, you're gonna break this little back off and you'll never secure it again. This is really rare for considering the number of trucks that we've looked at. All right, so we got a new nice gauge cluster with tachometer to go with our bezel. Again, if you know how to take it out, you can take them out damage free. And the only thing we have to worry about here is cleaning up the circuit board contacts in the back that send the signals to all the different instruments on the front. So score, really good. Some parts. I do have one little piece that I'm going to take to our digitizer, and she's going to make a decal for us. It's going to have a bat emblem that we're going to put in the truck. So that's all for today, except for one last thing. Here's to you and all the fellow 9th generation F-150 drivers. So thanks for another episode of the Little Red Toolbox. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Sophia. Thanks, Bridget.